Welcome everyone back to the Reading Writing Corner. I'm your host Leanne, and this is your first time here. Welcome in, sit down, pull up a seat, and let's have this lovely review. If you've been here before, you know the drill. This is the first part of the video, the non-spoiler review of Jackson Rule by Dina McCall. This is a standalone. Dun dun dun. How about the story? What would you do for love? That's basically what I think the story's about. What made me read this book? It was a romance book. That's why I read it. By Harper. Harper Monogram Romance. So, the blurb. Jackson Rule had spent nearly half his life behind bars for murder. Now he was starting over. Or trying to. Once he laid hungry eyes on his new employer, though, his resolve to lead a simple, solitary life deserted him, replaced by yearnings for fierce, forbidden passion. She offered him a second chance. What could he give her but trouble? Preacher's daughter, Rebecca Hill, was raised to give folks the benefit of the doubt. Though maybe this time she'd taken charity a bit too far. True, Jackson Rule had paid his debt to society. He was a hard, honest worker. What threatened to undo her was the sheer burning desire she felt in his presence, and the sinking feeling that her heart would be his captive forever. Thanks, Kat, for opening my door. Jackson knew life outside was not going to be easy, and a beautiful woman thrown into his life does not make it easier. The setup of characters was not clean cut, and some of it turned out to be a lie. The motives were simple, trying to survive and live a good life while avoiding the attraction that could lead to something different. Or worse, he didn't know which. The characters react to the situation in the way I believe people should react to the way the life went in the book. Like, you come out of prison, I expect you to be confused, lost, and having no idea where to start to pick up your life. The genre is considered to be romance. Did this live up to my expectation? It was okay. I guess I like paranormal romance better. There's more to it than just, I have attraction for you, you know? Which character did I relate to the most? Molly. Trauma can do something to the mind. If you want to know who Molly is, stick around. Which secondary character stood out the most? Rebecca. She was a Christian that wanted to do things her way, and she believed in giving people a second chance. Even though Jackson Rule said he committed murder, she wanted to give him a chance because, you know, he needed a way to live, to sustain himself. Like, I don't know, what more do you want? What was more important? The characters or the plot? The plot was romance and trying to rebuild one's life, so I guess the plot of moving through this. Even though the title is Jackson Rule, it's all about him in his life. There is that. There are multiple voices and it did not affect my reading. Should you go and read the story? Yes, if you love pure romance with second chances. Because that's what Jackson needed, was somebody to give him a second chance. So, if you don't want to be spoiled and you want to leave this lovely review, while you're doing that, could you drop a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription? I promise it helps out the channel a lot. Alright, so in this, you meet main characters, side characters, and people who show up once in a while. Jackson Rule, he went to prison for a crime he didn't commit to protect his older sister. So he woke up and his dad was dead, and he was like, oh crap, my dad just beat the living tar out of me, and now my sister's ended his life, and I need to take the rap for it, because that's what I need to do. She's my sister, she's screaming, I need to take the rap. So that's what he did. He took the rap and spent 15 years of his life in prison at the age of 16. So Molly Rule, she went crazy after killing her father because he beat them both. She confessed at the end to give Jackson a good name back. Well, she went crazy. And when she saw a picture of him, she went a little more crazy and then came back from that when she, you know, was able to get her mind on straight. And it started because when she was really young, about 4, he would go in and essay her, and when that happened, she thought she was with his child, which is terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. So, Satan Rule, you don't actually get to meet him, and I'm glad for that, but I wanted to put him in. He was a woman beater, a child beater, and a predator. That, thank God, was murked in this story. There's a bug flying around. I know, there's a bug flying around. Rebecca Hill, the woman Jackson saved several times. She fell in love with Jackson and not caring about his past because she had understood it, knew it happened, and was still attracted to him and still fell in love with him. Daniel Hill, Rebecca's father and a preacher that got the two mixed up. He had tried to set up his daughter on several blind dates in order to marry her off to someone he thought would take care of her. And he did not think Jackson Rule was good. Even though he preaches to not judge somebody on their past sins and to give people a second chance, he just did not want to give Jackson any chance. Like, no chance at all. And that's really sad because Jackson turned out to be innocent and that he took a rap for his sister. If that ain't sibling love, I don't know what is. Pete Walters, best friends Daniel, and worked for Rebecca garden and nursery that she ran. Clark Thurman, the head of the Jesus House, he had it open for people who wanted to go there, who could. It was where women and children that were trying to escape from a bad situation could go when shelters could not take them in. Jackson actually took a little boy and his mother or aunt there and everything. He's also where he met Taylor Monroe, who was abused by his grandfather and didn't trust nobody, and he actually goes, "Hey, Reverend Hill, I need you to come up here and help this child. He needs help. He's too angry at the world." And all the children love him. Yay, because he's a good man. I wanted to put in here that you don't meet Erin, and she's very briefly mentioned. But Laura Rule, she died because she was beat to death. But she actually didn't know that her husband was doing terrible things to her children because she thought she was protecting them. And the last one, and the cutest of all, was Danny Rule, Rebecca Jackson's almost 2-year-old son that went to his graduation. Yay! Because he didn't think he was going to be a good father, but turns out he's an excellent father. Excellent. There are several POVs within this story. Those were Jackson, Rebecca, Pete, Daniel, Clark, and Molly. Molly and Clark might actually get together. Ooh, ooh. My favorite character was Jackson. He protected his family the only way he knew how, and it cost him his young adult life. My most disliked character was Daniel for judging people based on what they did in the past. If you meet somebody and they did something in the past and they repented for it, then you shouldn't judge them for that. I mean, you should keep it in mind, but you shouldn't let it cloud your judgment completely. Especially if they have a really, really good reason, like self-defense. It was told in chronological order with appropriate language for the romance genre. It did not really have any foreshadowing or suspense in it because it's romance, and really, what else can I say? It's romance. The background is explained enough to understand, but it was not done all once. It was over the whole book, as you do not get the full story as to what happened to Molly and Jackson until near the end of the book. The title of the book meant the book was about the man named Jackson Rule, because it's literally named Jackson Rule. It's all about him. It's all about him. The cover of the book shows a man behind bars, but the bars are made of flowers, as if alluding to the fact that Jackson was innocent. What stood out as memorable was a preacher that preaches about forgiveness could not get over the fact that Jackson said he killed his father. He didn't even ask why. Not that Jackson was given it when it was first asked, because Jackson was more closed off and I don't want to deal with that type of thing. Because he was protecting his sister for years. Many, many years. My favorite passage from the story is through Rebecca. She says, I am a weak, lying coward, but if I'd said what's in my heart, it would give my father a heart attack. How do I tell him I love the man he reviles? Like, she fell in love with him. And her father did not like him, and she was, like, conflicted on how to give him that information, because he was like, oh, I can set you up on another date with this person. And she's like, my heart belongs to somebody else, but I can't tell him that because he doesn't like the guy. My favorite quote, I want you, Rebecca, and I want to watch our baby grow up. I want Molly to be happy, and I want your father to marry us. And that's just what to say to the woman. And of course, he told her that you showed me the way, every step of the way. What is that about the ending of the book? I am happy that Jackson got to go to college and get his diploma so he can work with abused children. Sorry, my nose is bugging me. Molly came back to herself and healed from her traumatic past, even though she probably still had lots of healing to do. It's still there, you know? Still there. What book did it remind me of? Scent of Roses by Kate Lauren. It was more about the romance than anything else, even though this didn't have no paranormal in it. It still reminded me of Scent of Roses because it was concentrated more on the romance than anything. But this book, as you know, is a standalone. And I rated it a 3.5 because the plot was not really there. Like, I wish there was more to the plot. It should have been a little thicker for what it was. More plot. It needed more plot. It needed more of the plot expanded and everything. But it wasn't. So, if you think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, drop it down below. I will see you next illusion.